You're listening to 95.1 WEVX-LP, Derry, The Evolution.
Tattooed heart and your jet black hair, running round like you don't care. Take me down, take me on down the line.
Good evening, everyone. I will now call this meeting of the Derry School Board to order. I believe we're going to invite our friends from Deep up to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
They do that in Deep? Nice. This is gonna be so cute. Hi. I'm gonna start right here. Put your hand on your heart.
Allegiance to the flag
Flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Nice job, everybody. Thank you. All right, we'll start with the roll call. If everybody could introduce themselves, name and position, starting from my right.
Laura Powers, Director of Student Services.
Kim Conant, Director of Curriculum and Grants.
Joe Crawford, Assistant Superintendent.
Austin Garofalo, Superintendent.
Brenda Willis, School Board.
Michael Thiel, School Board Chair.
Jen Thoreau, School Board Vice Chair.
Jamie Carew, School Board. Jenna Paradise, Secretary.
Jason McLeod, School Board.
Elsie Kyle, next charter school representative.
All right, thank you, everybody. All right, our first item tonight will be the consent agenda. For approval tonight, we have adoption of the non-public minutes from April 22nd, 2025, adoption of the public minutes from April 22nd, 2025, approval of the manifest in the amount of $4,614,093.90, of which $3,930,220.66 is general payroll, and $683,873.24 is general expense. Approval of 5 nominations: Amanda Bonifacio, special education teacher for the remainder of the 2024-25 school year at Gilbert H. Hood Middle School. Amanda Bonifacio, special education teacher for the 25-26 school year, Gilbert H. Hood Middle School. Catherine McLaughlin, special education teacher, West Running Brook Middle School, Intermediate School. Jennifer Pires, school nurse, East Derry Memorial Elementary School. Jeffrey Velez, music teacher, Gilbert H. Hood Middle School. Approval of 5 resignations: Alina Jackman, speech language pathologist, district. Linda Johnson, reading specialist, Ernest P. Barca Elementary School. Katie Martin, mathematics teacher, West Running Brook Intermediate School. Jackie Monaco, mathematics teacher, Gilbert H. Hood Middle School. Assunta Ternillo, assistant director of student services, district. And approval of 1 retirement: Yvonne Harding, administrative assistant, student services, district. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
First by Jason,
Second.
second by Jen. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Can I just say, with lots of thanks to the people who are leaving us, who have given us a lot of years for our children and for our district. Appreciate everything that they've done. Just want to make sure we acknowledge them.
Yep, I would echo that, but the motion passes 7-0. All right, before we move on, we need to strike an item from the agenda tonight. The administration will not be able to present on the school start and end times. So do I have a motion to strike the school start and end times item from the agenda?
So moved.
First by Jason,
Second.
second by Jen. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. All right, next on the agenda, we have a presentation. So let's welcome Tanya Labroda, coordinator of the Derry Early Education Program, or DEEP, up to the microphone.
Okay, so I've invited all of our little deepers, well, some of them. We have 3s and 4s that are here and some siblings that came tonight. And I made this beautiful presentation about the new playground that we had put in at Deep. And I included so many pictures of all the kids playing and just so much more so you could see what we do at Deep. So I thought we'd start by having some of the teachers come up and then having some of the children come up, or all of the children, introducing them, and then having them say one thing that they love about playing and learning at Deep. Okay, all right, let's see. And then I'm gonna have everyone in the line, like you do when you're in
Microphone. down there for them. Because we can't, right, can't, I know.
On the screen now.
All right, this is Lauren Connor. Can you guys hear me? Everyone first wave. And can you give them a big thank you? Thank you. Ready on the count of three. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Right, they help us. They helped us get the playground. Okay, this is Miss Pantalone over here. She's also been seasoned teacher. She's been here forever. All right, so I think I will start. Okay, hop on up. Ready? Okay. Ready. Can you tell them one thing you love about the playground?
The slides.
The slides! That was perfect! He's so excited about the microphone. Ready? Come on up. Okay. Can you tell them one thing you love about the playground? What do you like? Do you like the slides?
Yes.
What else do you like?
The playground.
Everything?
Yeah.
Okay. Say thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. What do you like about the playground?
Everything.
Everything. You say thank you. This is Lucas. Lucas is going to kindergarten next year, right? All right, tell them what you like about the playground.
I like playing with my friends.
Oh, he likes to play with his friends. All right, this is Luna. She's also going to be...
I like to play on the slides, teachers, and also running around.
She likes to run around. This is Maverick. What do you like about the playground?
The slide.
The slides. Can you say You say thank you.
Thank you.
This is our friend Henry.
I'm Harry. I want to slide.
Slide. So much fun. Thank you.
This is my friend Cameron. He's also going to be a kindergartner next year. What school are you going to? Do you know? If you're going to Parker.
I think so.
You think so? Oh, say South Range.
South Range.
Yes. Go South Range. Okay, what do you like about the playground?
The slides.
The slides.
Metal slide. I don't think they do them anymore. They don't.
I know.
Too hot.
You're going East Derry, right? Yep. Tell them your name. Say hi, I'm Emily.
Hi, I'm Emily.
I'm gonna go to, what school are you going to? East Derry.
East Derry.
Yeah, next year, right? Uh-huh. What do you like about the deep playground?
Playing with my friends in the slide.
Yay! You say thank you. This is Everlyn. She's going to Barker next year, right? What do you like about the deep playground, Evelyn?
I like the slides.
Oh, lots of slide lovers here. This is Stella, right? Stella, can you say hi to everyone?
Hi.
Are you going to kindergarten next year?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know your school?
Yeah.
What school is it?
It's Derry Remington Court.
East Derry?
East Derry.
Yep. What do you love about the playground at Deep?
It's playing games with my friends and everything.
Oh, you love everything. Can you tell them thank you?
Thank you.
Good job.
I want to get back
This is Carter. He's also going to be a kindergartner. What do you love about the Deep playground, Carter?
Slide.
Slide. Anything else?
Playing with my friends.
Playing with your friends. Anything else?
Everything.
Everything. Can you tell them thank you?
Thank you.
This is great. Say hi.
You sweet.
What do you like, Gracie? Bubbles. Bubbles.
Bubba.
Yeah.
You like bubbles.
One last thing, if that's okay. It's Stella. She got back in line for this. All right, Stella, what did you want to say?
I don't know because it's so much that I like.
Oh, there's so much that she likes. She just can't put it into words.
Thank you guys for coming tonight. Sounds like we got to get over there and check out this slide.
I was going to say, is there anything there other than slides?
I know,
Swings, maybe? A shaky bridge?
You're never too old for a good slide.
Okay.
But yeah, thank you very much for coming. And I liked hearing, too, that you guys like spending time with your friends, right? That's the most important part.
We would like to thank all of the families that brought your children here. This is fantastic. We love them all. Yes. Yes. And I want to thank the school board for supporting getting that playground after all this time put together and functioning. It really is a great space for the kids, and I know they love it. I know the teachers love it as well. And the teachers in this program do such a great job. I'm going to let her talk.
Bye-bye.
Because she's ready. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you very much for coming, and thank you for all you do.
Did I talk about this again? Yeah. All right, I would like to thank two of our awesome volunteers this year. We couldn't have done the Deep PTA without them. The first one is Angela. Do you want to come up? You get something? Okay, bring him up. And Kelly. Kelly, come on up. We had a fabulous time planning amazing events that brought in a lot of cheer and a lot of money to help support Deep with new items that we needed. And the biggest thing was that the children had fun. We had a Winter Wonderland dance. There was lots of help with the Teacher Appreciation Week from these ladies. And then we also do a trunk or treat event. I can't even, there's so many things. And they just are 24/7 thinking of things to help our program and working all the time for these kids. Oh yeah, we had our reading night a few weeks ago. And then we also are gonna have an end of the school year dance. And all the children are coming, we'll have a DJ, and it will be presented in the Gilbert H. Hood Gymnasium is where we'll be having the event. So it's a wonderful community and a wonderful bonding time for the kids and families. So I just want to say thank you
Oh,
too.
thank you, that's so kind, thank you.
Annie is great to work with.
Yeah, we're having a lot of fun. Thank you.
And we have certificates that say Certificate of Appreciation, Volunteers in Education. First one goes to Angela Mackey.
Thank you so much, thank you.
Skulski.
Yes.
And Certificate of Appreciation, Volunteers in Education, Kelly Skulski, for valued service at the Derry Early Education Program. Thank you so much.
All right, congratulations to you both. And if Tanya, if you're all set, I think we'll take a 5-minute recess. All right, welcome back, everybody. Next up on the agenda is delegations and individuals. At this time, residents of Derry, parents of currently enrolled Derry students, and employees of the district may address the school board on matters that pertain only to school and district business for a period of time not to exceed 3 minutes per person. As a reminder, questions cannot be answered in real time. If you would like to speak, please come up to the microphone at this time and state your name and address for the record. Not seeing anybody getting up, so we will move on. However, the comment period will remain open until 7:35 p.m. All right, next up we have our student member updates. Mr. Henry, our Pinkerton student member, is absent tonight. He's busy setting up for Pinkerton's junior prom this week. But he did want me to mention that their prom setup will be open for public viewing on Saturday, May 17th from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. at the Hackler Gymnasium if you want to stop by and check out their hard work. So Ms. Kyle is here tonight, so you're up next with the next charter school update.
I'm kind of mad that I can see my face now. Usually looking at it makes me panic. I was just telling my friend that I liked that I couldn't see my face, but anyways. So our annual prom is this Friday, May 16th. And our graduation day for next senior class will be on June 5th at 4:00 p.m. And on June 10th and 11th, the school will be holding ILP meetings so teachers can connect with students and their teachers about student progress. There's a lot of stuff going on, end of the year. And on June 12th, we'll be having a school-wide Spark Day where students can teach a class to whoever signs up for it. So like if their specialty was, I don't know, makeup, they can teach people how to do a face. And on the last day of school, June 13th, the school will be going to Portsmouth where there will be multiple activities students can participate in. That's all.
Thank you, Elsie. Are you a senior? Yeah. All right, well, congratulations. Your graduation's coming up. Looking forward to it. I'm going to try to be there. Anybody else have any questions for Elsie? All right. We have no items to deliberate tonight, so we'll move on to administration reports. Our first item is going to be a presentation on elementary PACE math, so I will turn it over to Ms. Conan.
Hello. So we have a transition from PACE grade 4 math to a K-4 enrichment model that I'd like to go over tonight. So first is the background of PACE math is that it's currently it's in grade 4 only. And it's a traditional pull-out program that really focuses on acceleration of instruction. And while it has served a lot of learners in the past, over the years, we have this opportunity to increase the equity and access and flexibility in and how we support students now at the elementary level. So, why reimagine PACE? So right now, the challenges in the current PACE model is right now it's limited reach. It only, like I said before, it is grade 4 students. We have an inflexible model, so it's a static selection process. So once you really get into PACE, it's really like you're in PACE and it's harder to get out. We do look at end of the year data, but once you're in pretty much. There is a premature tracking. So that means that the long-term placement that we have is based off of early identification. So when we identify students in 4th grade for PACE, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be in PACE for the remainder into algebra and algebra 2 when they go to Pinkerton. And then that makes the long-term impact. It suggests that the higher levels, we are not seeing the same as 4th grade. They're not in those higher levels at Pinkerton algebra 2. So, current PACE model, I just wanted to put a comparison of what the model is and then what the model could be. So it's based on 4th grade. The selection we use is based off of our newer map growth, which is our local assessment, SAS assessment, which is our state testing, and then teacher recommendations. We have a static placement. It's a daily pullout during their math block, so it's during their Tier 1 math time. It's led by the math specialist. The learning report is done by the math specialist, and they don't have any access to Tier 1 instruction as the other, as the grade level, because they get pulled out during that time for accelerated learning. So our proposed K-4 model is that this would infect all students, grades K through 4. We will use the placement of the universal number screener, which we have been screening all children K through 4, fall, winter, and spring. It's an additional number screener. We look at the NEWA MAP assessment. We talk about teacher input, and then we have pre and post assessments based on the units that we've made. It would be flexible groups that change by the unit. So every 4 to 6 weeks, we would look at that data, and then we would have a flexible group of enrichment students. It would be 4 days a week during our focus time, and then it would be led by grade level teachers and math specialists. So we would open that up. Right now, they're currently grouping kids across the grade level, and so it would either be a classroom teacher that would want enrichment to do enrichment activities, or the math specialist. It would be open to those teachers. The learning report would be done by the core teacher, and it would allow us to have a push-in model for enrichment once a week during the math block, so the math specialist could go into the classrooms. So our program features are, it's flexible groups. It's flexible groups. It's focused on the unit assessments throughout the year. It would be good for a push-in model for enrichment. So weekly specialists will go in and lead a lesson in the Tier 1 block for enrichment. It would be an effective use of our focus block. So it's enrichment structured time so that they're getting that same time, 4 to 6 weeks. It would be a collaborative model where enrichment instruction is shared among all the educators. And then it would have a detracking with purpose, so that it would give us open access to really see who those kids are for acceleration and readiness for the PACE program 5 through 8. So some of our goals comparison is that the current PACE program it's a challenge because it's a small group. It only challenges a small group of students. It does prep for PACE in the intermediate and middle school. It preps for Algebra 2 by grade 9, and then it is acceleration without really a clear path of, if they're gonna continue on that path or not. The proposed enrichment K4, that would be challenging all students based on their readiness, develop the readiness for future placement, maintain that open access for Algebra 2 in high school, and it would be a purposeful preparation for the acceleration program 5 through 8. Some of the district benefits are that it would increase our equity and access, so it would enable us to have a broader opportunity for challenge for enrichment. The resource efficiency, our specialists would support more students. Professional development, teachers would observe the math specialists and vice versa. The data-driven decisions, it would be a placement on current performance based on the unit. And then the long-term academic success would be the focus on that deep conceptual learning that we're moving towards. So the connection to our vision and my strategic plans that I am responsible. So Plan 2 is about improving math progressions and aligning the math curriculum across grades with smoother pathways for skill building. Plan 5 is about establishing those common instructional beliefs with a focus on mathematical practices so that we're ensuring that every teacher has the tools ready to work. Plan 7 is about implementing common math assessments, so this will help us better identify and respond to each of the students' needs. Plan 8 is about learning walks, so that they will be observing and collaborating with each other, math specialists and teaching. And then plans 10 through 12 is about really building that data team and MTSS system that we look at data every 4 to 6 weeks and then meet them where they're at. So the conclusion is that this proposal reflects our belief that all students deserve opportunities to stretch their thinking and grow. By expanding enrichment across K to 4, we create a stronger, more equitable foundation for the future success of our students. And I just left with some pictures of our wonderful students doing math. You have any
Thank you, Ms. Conan. I've talked a lot about the PACE program. My son went through elementary enhanced in PACE, and he's now in PACE, the intermediate school. And, I think programs like that are important in making sure that we're challenging students that need to be challenged.
Right.
And I think, what we all likely want to see out of any change is to make sure that those students are still being challenged. So, that said, I understand the issues right now with doing, a PACE-style program in fourth grade. At the intermediate school, you have every fifth grader in the district. You can form classes of students who really belong in that class. Like at our elementary schools, I think our smallest group of fourth graders is 64 kids. So, out of 64 kids, how many of 64 kids are really ready to skip an entire year of math?
Right, and that's what we're finding is that this year we really focused on fourth grade because the fourth grade skills, we went a little bit deeper because they were having some holes. And so the data, we just got the first round of data, and it does show that they've made some really significant gains in pace, going a little bit deeper and like filling in those holes and working a little bit faster.
Yeah. And I know you said that, once a kid gets started in the PACE program, it's hard to shift them out if it becomes obvious that they're not ready for it. In the past, you had the third grade enhanced that kind of fed kids into the fourth and fifth grade PACE. So, they started that enhanced at the third grade level, and then I think they advanced into fourth grade math during that third grade year, and then they went into fourth grade PACE. So not having that enhanced step anymore, is that kind of where you're seeing, kids that aren't ready when they get to fourth grade PACE?
Yes, the data is showing it, and we looked at third grade. It was based off of data, and we looked at the third grade data coming into fourth grade, and if we have a true criteria, right now the criteria is there, but it is different based on the school. We might take a little bit, more kids in this school if they kind of qualify, or here. So what's happening is now that we have fourth grade and we have it from all 4 schools going into fifth grade, the fourth grade now we have some students that may qualify more than another school because it's a little bit different criteria. And so then we have to say, oh, you're not eligible for PACE, and then going into fifth, there's only so many spots in fifth grade. So that's why we wanted to make it more equitable.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm assuming the elementary math specialists, the intermediate and middle school PACE teachers have all been a part of this discussion. They're on board with the proposed changes.
Yep, it all came from data, and we had conversations with all of them.
Right.
It would allow them really to, it's open up the resources because it would allow them to go into classrooms with this schedule, and they would be able to teach enrichment lessons and support teachers and take groups during focus. So it would widen up their schedule.
Yeah, I feel like this is pretty similar to, when 2 years ago you guys proposed eliminating elementary PACE. So it seems like this is kind of going back to what had been proposed at the time.
And this is just based on, now it's based on data, really.
Yeah. All right, did anybody else have any questions?
I do. Not necessarily a question, 2 things. Thank you, nice presentation here, but the big thing for me is how you tied it back to the strategic plan. So I appreciate that very much, and how it impacts it, all the work that went into it, how it's kind of the progression of it, so thank you.
Thank you.
I have one question. What happens in the few cases that there is a child in a grade that really is very advanced compared to, I know most of it comes to the data, but before they would be pulled out for a PACE program, so they would be sectioned off. But if they're coming in to teach an enhanced lesson with group, and there's a student that is far beyond, what is the circumstance that will happen with them?
If they're far beyond, then that would be taken care of in that focus block. They would still be in the classroom, but the classroom is differentiated so that they can meet all different levels. So the math curriculum now, it's a little bit deeper than prior, and so we're challenging them all the time in tier 1, and then they would get the extra challenge in focus block. So they still would be having enrichment. They would still get what they need too.
If I could just add, I think that's a great question and a great answer. This is not removing anything. This is adding on all of those kids, as you just asked and the answer was given, will still be getting challenged, but we'll be able to reach out and challenge a lot more of our students at the level that they are at. And to me, it's a win-win across the board.
In some areas in math, some units, we have about approximately 7 to 8 units in a year. And some of those units are like the kids that are in PACE now, they excel, and some of them, they still have holes. So, it depends. So every 4 to 6 weeks, they're actually looking at the data and then regrouping the kids. So they'll still get what they need and still be able to fill in holes if they have them.
I do like to, I love this because one of the things that I remember seeing was that there are kids who definitely have the capability to be challenged and they have the thought, but the actual quote-unquote pace of the class was too fast to move along. And so the anxiety of moving faster didn't allow them to meet the challenge. So I like this presentation in that it's meeting in the plan, and they're not pushed so fast that they can't absorb the new stuff that they're getting in the challenges. So this all sounds great to me. So thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm trying to understand early tracking and placement. And I'm also trying to understand, we have competencies that we're working with. So why do we need to change this when we have competencies that basically follow the child and challenge them as they grow?
So it would just be, it's because they don't have access to tier 1. So right now, the current PACE group is that small group and they don't have access to that tier 1 instruction. So it is competencies, but the focus block allows us to then look even more at their skills. So like there's kids in kindergarten that really should be enriched based on our data, but we don't have that at the current moment. So that would be in the block. So instead of taking them out of our tier 1 and making a little bit bigger gap, even in the PACE kids, then we are making sure that they're access to tier 1 curriculum and that we are challenging them in the focus. And so then we're seeing, okay, are they ready for PACE 5? Because PACE 5 through 8 is 5 years of instruction in 4 years. So it gets really accelerated during PACE 5. So the competencies it does reach them, but before they were lacking, because they were accelerating and skipping a grade level is some of the current instruction, they were missing some of those key concepts and skills in their own grade level. Does that make sense?
So you're referring to PACE in skipping grade level or just regular ed?
PACE. So then now they're all getting access to tier 1, and then they're still being challenged. So it's just they're not skipping a grade level. They're not getting accelerated in another year's standards, because we're making sure that those are mastered so that they understand and they can use those concepts in 5th grade so that they can move fast through the program.
But isn't that the purpose of competencies? I guess I'm not understanding. And it's not that I don't, because I want everybody to be challenged, totally. Yeah. But I don't understand the difference between competencies in changing this model, or just not having this model, but just dealing with competencies.
Yeah, you can. We're going deeper with the curriculum, but I mean, maybe you can say it different.
Well, I don't know if I can say it different, but so when I think about what competencies, they represent very clear, specific statements of what all students need to know and be able to do at each grade level.
And can do, and master, correct?
Correct, right. Yeah, so instead of assessing, traditional grading assesses things like quizzes, tests, homework. Competency-based grading says, I'm actually gonna measure whether or not you can do this thing that I want you to do. And then I'm going to provide specific assessment data related to that competency and that standard. We still do have so I'm trying not to go too far out there, but in a true, like where Elsie goes to school, in a true competency-based system, there are no grade levels in competency-based schools. We aren't there yet. Maybe we'll never get there, but we live in a world of traditional education where we still batch our kids based on their date of creation. So because of that, we group all 6-year-olds together, 7-year-olds together, 8-year-olds together. And the truth, and I think Kim has said it, is not all 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds are actually at the same level. However, when we have been pulling kids out at 4th grade pace, some of those kids are they're all very intelligent kids, but they have big gaps specifically in the area of number sense. And that's like the foundation for your ability to learn and apply math later on. And we were accelerating kids by pulling them out of their homeroom class instruction that was teaching those 4th grade concepts. And we were kind of jumping ahead to 5th grade, 6th grade concepts, and they weren't ready. And I think that's kind of the crux of it. So I think our goal here is to ensure that, there's a bunch of goals. One of them is to ensure that there's some more equity, because when you try to identify your really high achieving students at an earlier age, you're more likely to be wrong, because the developmental differences of young children are vastly different. As we get older, some of us in the room know this, we all start to look alike and feel alike. But when the difference between a 6.5-year-old and a 6-year-old is tremendous, and the variability within 6-year-olds is really big. And so I think one of our concerns is the tracking element of PACE, pulling out and saying you're no longer going to be instructed with your peers as a 4th grader has led to some real significant gaps that were covered up because these kids are really good students, but then they go on to higher level math and we find, oh my goodness, they have these big holes specifically in number sense. And that's where that numeracy screener is so important. So in talking to our intermediate and middle school teachers, we said our goal now is to give you kids in 5th grade who have a really solid understanding of K through 4 math concepts. They are absolutely solid, so that when you take them in 5th grade, now that becomes a secondary goal in 5th grade, is to try to make sure that these kids have access to a higher level math curriculum in high school. And it's not the only goal, but one of the goals of this program is to open up higher level math for kids when they get to high school. What that means is for those students who are able to move into Algebra 2 as freshmen out of our PACE program, they can then take things like AP Calculus as seniors. The vast majority of kids do not have access to AP Calculus at Pinkerton because they've got to get through Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2, and Pre-Calculus. And if you take one math class a year and you only plan on being in high school for 4 years, you run out of years before you get to calculus. So our goal has always been to keep access to that program.
Yeah.
But some of the kids that were getting pulled out pretty early on, we're finding had some pretty big holes. And so I do think it ties together with competencies, because we're assessing we're making sure they master what they should know before moving on to the next thing. But in a perfect world, we would take a kindergartner and a 2nd grade, a 3rd grade, 4th grade, they'd all be in the same room learning together. But that actually, there's potential to do some of that down the road. But right now, we're not proposing any removal of grade levels right now, because that is a little out there. But the focus block that Kim is talking about is, right, that's flexible grouping. So regrouping kids every 4 to 6 weeks based on performance and assessment data is what we think a more appropriate way to address student needs than tracking them where we identify you as a 3rd grader really to go into this program at the beginning of 4th grade, and then we don't ever look back. And that's not 100% true, because if there's a real big issue, we may move a kid out. But as Kim said, it tends to be a track that a lot of students stay in. I don't know if that answered, but I'm sitting back so Kim can talk.
Comments open till 7.
Yep. Comment period's still open.
Dave Levesque, teacher at Gilbert H. Hood Middle School. In this, I don't have a direct comment in this category other than to say, in preparation for tonight's meeting, there's no documentation anywhere to be found on this presentation. And so I know leading up to today's meeting, there are no documents attached on the school's webpage, not just about this topic, but any topic tonight. And so the agenda is listed. In the past, we used to see the enrollment reports. We used to see documents attached. And one of the things we've noticed this week is that there's nothing to look at in preparation. So I'm taking pictures with my phone of this slideshow just so I can have it But again, it would help the public if we could be prepared for the discussion prior to having it, and we can do some research ourselves. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. Yeah, usually the attachments are posted with the agenda. I'm not sure why that wasn't done this week, but I'm assuming it was an oversight.
I'm not sure. I know that they, in the past, I believe they have been posted on the website, but I'm not sure that's been consistent over the last year or so. I think this was a change that was made prior to this week. Maybe these
I don't
guys
know.
know. Oh, maybe they don't
Yeah,
know.
it's
But
been-
we'll look into that. And
We usually have them.
Hold off on posting that because there's got to be explanation that goes along with the presentation. So more often than not, we will give a presentation and then we'll post. We'll make sure, so you don't have to take pictures because it will be posted after this.
Appreciate that. Meg Morse-Barry. So I don't have any problems with the whole PACE thing, but I do have one big problem. My one big problem is that we have reading specialists in our buildings that work with kids who have significant reading issues. We have math specialists that only work with kids who are they're doing focus, they're not doing direct instruction. And it hit home, this presentation and the equity for the kids that are above grade level hit home with an exercise we did in a staff meeting yesterday where we went back and the classroom teachers took all their NWA data and they marked them. They, did less than 10th percentile, less than 20th percentile, less than 30th percentile. And 41st to 60th is the average, is the middle. It's the yellow area, so it's the average, and then you get blue and above that. And the poor special ed teachers, our special ed teachers are amazing. They do great work, but they are not the specialist. And when we have a child who's in that 1 percentile to 9th percentile, we try to get a reading specialist to work with them in reading, and we don't have that availability in math. So as you're looking at math specialists, I know last year we had math interventionists in addition, and we kind of cut those when we did the reorg. Maybe adding math specialists who can work with those kids who have special ed issues in math. I think it's real important that kids, math is cyclical. If you miss something now, you're going to come back to it next year because it all kind of goes together. If you miss how to add two digit by two digit, you're going to learn it a little bit further and deeper as you move along. But we're not giving access to the math specialists to the kids who need it the most. So, maybe for your budgets in the fall, you look at adding, some math specialists, and Joe's laughing at me, to provide math instruction for our special ed kids, because we have it for the kids that need reading assistance. So I think in the sense of equity that you're talking about, I think we need to look at that population as well. So as a special ed teacher and an LEA in one of the buildings, I just felt like I needed to say something. So thank you.
Thanks, Meg. Did you guys want to address that at all?
Well, I did. Worked. Is it on? Okay. I did want to say this year in focus block, the math specialist actually worked with the lower population for the kids. But I agree. We now would kind of open up more of that avenue for every 4 to 6 weeks for the focus block anyway. But they have been working for that. You're talking about direct instruction.
Yeah. I think a couple of things is, one, I wouldn't say that special ed teachers are not experts as far as doing the instruction and having the ways to deliver the instruction. I think using those math specialists, for consultation, certainly. I do. We've talked about doing OGAP instruction for, moving forward and having more special ed teachers involved in that instruction, in those workshops. I don't know if it's workshop or classes or, but over the summer, so they can develop those skills. I do worry, because I think that there's special ed teachers, that certification, and then having people who are math teachers and having people who are reading teachers. And I think areas of specialty are absolutely needed. And so I completely agree with you, Meg, on that. But I do think that we have to be careful not to replace the special ed teachers, because I do think that, and I just want to kind of put that out there, because they are experts in the more general instruction and strategies and, working with students with learning disabilities or other identifications. So I just kind of want to put that out there. Oh, I know, and you said that right up there. I just want to make sure that we say that they are experts and that is their field that they are certified in as experts.
Mr. Chair, I didn't think we were addressing and going back and forth during public comment.
It's not a conversation, so, you're welcome to make your public comment, and they're welcome to address them, and that's the end of it.
Brenda, did you have
Just one more. Yeah. So number sense has always been an issue, right? Every single year we get the standardized test scores, and every single year number sense is an issue. How are we going to correct that now? What's changed? Besides tier one?
Tier one. And tier one, it's definitely changed. And we added in a lot more, and it's aligned. And by the results that I'm seeing in NEWA right now, it is definitely a strength. First time, it really is. And the data, I will present the data in June to everyone, but we are seeing good, solid number sense. And we added that OGAP, it's the ongoing assessment project. And it's not a program, it's a framework. We've had a lot of teachers go to it, and it is phenomenal. It's a 4-day program. And number sense is the biggest thing, and we put in a lot of strategies in number sense across all grade levels. And so those are routines that the teachers are working really hard to do, and the teachers are phenomenal. They are working really hard in math, so I give them and our students all the credit.
So is there an enrollment cap for this, or how many children do you anticipate being enrolled in this once it opens up to all the grades?
It wouldn't be necessarily enrolled, because it's flexible grouping is really what focus is. So it just focuses on what their skill is that they need. It's an extra 25-minute time. We have it built in the schedule already. It's for 25 minutes for math, and then we have a 25-minute focus for reading. And so it wouldn't be like an enrollment like it is PACE right now. PACE currently right now is an enrollment. You will have the spots and go through a criteria process, but this is more flexible. And it's for all kids, kindergarten through 4th grade.
I have a question, Kim. Who is going to be, and maybe this piggybacks off of what I think a little bit what Brenda was asking, who would be providing instruction for kids that have mastered competency at their grade level?
That would be, it would go back to the classroom teacher. They would still be doing that. And if they met competency at their grade level, they would go a little bit deeper. And the math specialist would give the classroom teachers some activities to do for that group of kids in the class. And then they would take an extra 25 minutes to do extra math. Like right now, for PACE, we're still working on 4th grade curriculum. Last year, they were working on 5th grade curriculum. This year, we're still working on 4th grade curriculum, but we're going a lot deeper with them so that they have to apply more, and that's how they're extending their learning.
All right, we will move on to the next item on the agenda, which I believe is Austin's superintendent update.
Okay, I hope everyone had a wonderful, restful, and exciting April vacation, and all of you came back from that vacation for what is now, believe it or not, just over 4 weeks left in the 2024-2025 school year. This is always a very exciting time in our schools because along with all of the learning still to be accomplished, there are many end-of-the-year events that each school will have planned for their students. When most of those events have been completed, we will have the last day of school for all our 8th graders on Wednesday, June 11th, with the 8th grade promotion ceremony slated to begin at 4 o'clock p.m. that afternoon in the Pinkerton Academy Hackler Gym. We all look forward to seeing every single 8th grade student promoted at the same time in the same ceremony for the first time here in Derry. The last day for all of the other students from preschool, deep students were here today, to 7th grade, will be Thursday, June 12th, which is also the last day of work for our wonderful assistants. The last day for all of our outstanding teachers is Monday, the 16th of June. Looking ahead, I hope that everyone makes it a wonderful month and a half, barely even a month and a half now, as we all enjoy the events and begin to plan for the upcoming summer vacation. Okay, I have one more reminder about kindergarten orientation for the 2025-2026 school year, which is scheduled for this Friday, May 16th. If you have a child who will be kindergarten eligible next school year, you need to have your child registered to attend the orientation. Currently, we have over 85% of the available seats filled with pre-registered students. So, please remember that seats are on a first-come, first-served basis for availability in your child's neighborhood school. Therefore, if you and your child want to attend kindergarten orientation, and/or if you want the best chance of your child attending kindergarten at their neighborhood school, please go online and register your child as soon as possible, and definitely before the Friday, May 16th orientation. The program called End 68 Hours of Hunger was created to distribute food to our Derry Cooperative School District students who are food insecure. This program provides meals so that these children have meals between the school lunch on a Friday and school breakfast on a Monday. The Derry Village Rotary supports this program by collecting food and then delivering that food to all schools on Thursdays. Every year, the amount of food collected has increased, as does the number of students and families who are food insecure in our community. Each school in the SAU office had their annual spring food collection drive in April, and the Derry Village Rotary collected all of the food on the Friday before vacation. The amount of food that was collected by staff, students, and families of the Derry Cooperative School District weighed in at over 1,000 pounds. As always, the Derry Cooperative School District responded, and I can't thank everyone enough for all of your kindness, empathy, and especially your amazing generosity. The East Derry Memorial Elementary School and Grinnell Elementary School after-school math club students, also known as mathletes, participated in the Math Club National Competition. There were 51 students from East Derry and 45 students from Grinnell in grades 2 through 4. And nationally, they were close to 41,000 students from 816 schools in 47 different states. These mathletes stayed after school and dedicated their time to working on their math. There's a lot about math tonight, was there not? This does not hurt the situation. Yes. Both schools had 10 students score in the top 50% nationally and were recognized with an honorable mention, and there was one student from each school who scored in the top 10% in the nation, placing them on the National Honor Roll. I want to give a great big shout out to all the East Derry and Grinnell students who participated in the math club, the mathletes, in the competition, and to all the staff members who coordinated the after-school activities. A special thank you goes to two of our outstanding math specialists and math club advisors, Miss Amy Landry from East Derry and Miss Patty Malaro from Grinnell. Great job, everyone, and thank you all for your commitment to excellence for all of our students. Last Wednesday, May 7th, was the Gilbert H. Hood Middle School National Junior Honor Society induction ceremony in their gym. This was the first time that all 7th and 8th grade students were inducted all at the same time in one big ceremony. I want to congratulate each one of the students inducted, the 8th grade National Junior Honor Society members who helped out, and there was a ton of them, and all of the families and friends who attended this very prestigious ceremony. Also, a great big thank you goes out to Principal Long, and especially to longtime National Junior Honor Society advisor over at Gilbert H. Hood, Mr. Russ Manchester. He has worked with the National Junior Honor Society students for many years. He always puts his heart and soul into making sure these students shine. It is always an outstanding event to see so many of our bright, wonderful, and caring student leaders receive such a prestigious honor. And I just want to point out, I'm sure that our chair will be talking about this, but you can't talk about it enough. I am looking forward to the West Running Brook play. It's this weekend. It's Friday night at 7 o'clock and Saturday at 3 o'clock. My wife and I are bringing my granddaughter, Lucy, to the performance on Friday night, and we can't wait. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Austin. Yeah, I would second what you said about the Gilbert H. Hood National Junior Honor Society ceremony. I was there as well. They always do a fantastic job. And I mean, you can see how devoted Mr. Manchester is to that program. And, I love how he, really lets the kids, run that ceremony. So it's always a great event. And the West Running Brook Intermediate School musical is coming up this weekend. I chaperoned the rehearsal yesterday. They almost did a full run through. And I think there was probably somewhere in the range of 50 kids there yesterday, and it was only half the cast. So, it's impressive to see how many kids, are excited to be involved in the theater program this year at West Running Brook. And they're really doing a great job with the show. I mean, I thought their rehearsal was great yesterday. I think we're all in for a treat this weekend, and I hope as many of you out there can come out and check out what they're going to be doing over there. For most of these kids, they were in 4th and 5th grade last year, so for all of them, this is their first time doing a musical, at least in the school district. So it's a great opportunity for all these kids, to do this for the first time. All right, so we will move on to committee reports. I think we had a bunch of committees meet over the last 2 weeks. The Transportation and Technology Committee met to discuss a few issues. There was an item on the agenda tonight to discuss start times as they relate to transportation, but we're going to have to delay that discussion. Clifton also discussed a few technology issues, and he also had a deeper analysis of why the district uses Apple computers, which I know was a question of some, so if you're interested in looking at that, I'm sure he'd be happy to provide it. The Facilities Committee met twice over the last couple of weeks. First, we discussed a number of projects that the administration is proposing. If you have a student or if you work at West Running Brook, you might have noticed the scaffolding starting to go up alongside the side of the building. CSI, the contractor working on the facade replacement, is going to be constructing scaffolding around the building on Saturdays through the end of the school year. So the scaffolding shouldn't pose any danger or hindrance to operations at West Running Brook, but installing it now will allow the heavy work to begin as soon as school is out. Materials, I think, are going to be arriving on June 16th, and they're going to start the demolition on June 17th. So, the hope is the project will be done before students are back, but at the very least, all that heavy construction work will be done. There was also, we also discussed the continuing investigation with the water infiltration from the West Running Brook roof. So, Jeremy was here a few weeks ago to address the same issue, but basically, now that the new flat roof is installed, there's a handful of locations where they're still seeing water infiltration, and they think it's because of a design flaw with the metal roof where, water has just been pouring onto, certain locations and just wearing away at the building since it was built, and now you're finally seeing water coming into the building. So they are working on a temporary solution with ARM. that would mitigate the problem until those metal roof sections are due for replacement. Basically, to completely, do the work to solve the problem now, they'd have to rip the whole metal roof off, and it has some years left on it. So the plan is to come up with a temporary solution that will mitigate the problem until it's time to replace those roof sections. There was also a number of renovation projects the administration was looking at for the upcoming summer. There were 2 projects they were looking at that would be funded through federal special education grants. The first would be a renovation of the unutilized locker room space at West Runningbrook into a purpose-built space for special education programs. And that would allow the space currently occupied by those programs to be available for other uses. And the other was adding a 5th classroom for the DEEP program at Gilbert H. Hood by renovating space currently in use by the technology department. There was also 3 smaller projects the administration wants to consider completing, I believe using unspent funds. And those 3 projects, one would be a replacement of the folding wall on the stage at West Runningbrook that separates the gymnasium from the band room. I think the idea would be to replace it with a permanent, preferably soundproof wall. Another project would be the addition of a permanent dividing wall. There's a double classroom at Gilbert H. Hood that's currently being used for the FACS program. And the dividing wall would divide that up into 2 classrooms that would be used for the wellness program. And the third project would convert room 234, which is currently in use as an office for the special education facilitator, into an office suite for the assistant principals. The special education facilitator would move to the current principal's office, and the principal would move into the current assistant principal space. So at the next meeting, Jane should have more solid estimates of the costs of these projects and the status of the unspent funds. And at that time, we can make some decisions about these projects. Jane also wanted me to give a couple updates on the bond. All required documentation has been submitted to the New Hampshire Municipal Bond Bank and to the bond attorney, so we should be all set for the bond sale, which I believe is July 1st. Did anyone else from the Facilities Committee have any comments? All right. The Curriculum and Assessment Committee also met. I believe one of the issues discussed was the elementary PACE issue that we discussed earlier in the meeting. I don't know if you guys had any other updates from anything else discussed at that meeting?
That was the bulk of the discussion around PACE.
If you guys have anything else you want to add, by all means.
I can certainly, oh, sorry, Kim. I just leaned right in front of her. I didn't know if you were looking at me or her, but just real quick, we did talk a bit about some unified arts programming changes that we'd like to put in place. We're planning to put in place both at West Runningbrook and Gilbert H. Hood. You kind of hinted at it a little bit. We're looking to expand wellness offerings to students at Gilbert H. Hood. Wellness is sort of our health curriculum. So we're looking to actually bring in a second wellness teacher so that all middle school students have access to that program. We're also, students in the middle school will be having access to a library media studies program, which kids at the intermediate do, but we have never had that program at the middle school, so that's a new change. And one of the people that was nominated for a position tonight is a new music teacher who, I'm not going to use names, but also was a graduate of the Derry Cooperative School District and a wonderful kid and a virtuoso, but has been hired on to be part of the music team at Gilbert H. Hood. And that primarily is addressing some of the challenges of good problems. A lot of kids doing band and chorus at the intermediate level, and those are full year courses that tie up those 2 instructors for a lot of the instructional day. And what that does is it limits the non-band and chorus kids' access to general music curriculum. So when Hood was bigger in the past, we always had 3 music teachers to address that issue. So we're adding a 3rd music teacher. We're not actually adding any additional positions to the budget. We're just reallocating staff. There are two classroom positions at the elementary school that, due to the restructuring, we had 2 positions available. Nobody lost their jobs. They were resignations, moving on. So we moved those positions to the intermediate and middle school to make these things happening. The only thing I didn't didn't really share about the intermediate school was that we would be adding a wellness teacher at that program so that kids have access to wellness both in the intermediate and the middle school. And we will be increasing PE offerings at the intermediate school by moving a current elementary PE teacher to the intermediate level, again, because of reallocation of students allows us that flexibility. I'm talking very quickly, so if you're on the committee, interrupt me. The only other thing that go ahead. That's what I was about to say, yeah, social studies. So this has been a year of learning in terms of curriculum around social studies, because those of you who don't know, prior to the restructuring, there wasn't a really dedicated social studies instructional block at the 5th grade level, because 5th grade was in the elementary school, and social studies was kind of integrated into literacy instruction. This year, obviously, we have a 5th grade schedule that is part of the intermediate school, so they have a dedicated social studies block. And so while that's been really great, and there's some good benefits to that, it has come a little bit at the expense of literacy instruction. So we had initially designed intermediate social studies to be really centered around geography. And while geography, as a social studies nerd, I love geography, but it is harder to integrate geography into literacy, and it's also harder to, how can I say this? For some students, it can be difficult to engage with geography because it's not a story-based or a narrative-based or a people-based subject in a lot of ways. So we're kind of reorganizing our social studies curriculum to focus predominantly on ancient civilizations in 5th grade, which will have geography integrated. It just won't be standalone. And doing exploration and colonial settlement of the Americas in 6th grade. That curriculum will be designed around a novel study or book study approach so that it can be integrated more effectively with our literacy instruction. Not to get too deep into it, so I'm going to stop, but 5th grade English and social studies is actually the same teacher, so the ability to now integrate with that new curriculum setup is, we think, going to be really effective. Dennis Mayo and Kim have really led the work in this area. Dennis has been working closely with the intermediate school teachers. Patty Thomas is our social studies team leader at the intermediate school. She's a superstar. She has also been working really hard to coordinate this, so we've got materials in and we're ready to go hit the ground running next year. But that was I think that was it.
All right, thank you, Joe. All right, next up is FYIs and member updates. We have the May 1st enrollment update. Did anyone have any questions about that? No? All right. I wanted to give notice of openings on the Fiscal Advisory Committee for next year. So our policy states that vacancies are to be advertised in May. The information has been posted on the website. This committee is made up of 11 people, 9 full members and 2 alternates. So coming up this year, we're going to have 4 openings on the committee, 2 full members and 2 alternates for 3-year terms. The committee typically meets 5 or 6 times from October to December to collaborate on the district budget. If you're looking to get more involved with the school district, if you have expertise that you feel would lend itself to the work, this is a great way to get started. So our policy dictates that appointments be made on or before June 30th. So I would expect that we'll have appointments to vote on, assuming we get some applicants, at the June 24th board meeting. So get your applications in before then. I also want to note it's spring concert season around our schools right now. So Barca always goes first. They've already had their spring concert on the 7th. And South Ranges is actually tonight. But coming up, Grinnell has their concert on Thursday the 15th, the Hood Chorus Monday the 19th, the Hood Band Tuesday the 20th, the West Running Brook Band and Chorus on Thursday the 22nd, East Derry on Friday the 30th, and the West Running Brook Band has their solo night on Thursday the 5th. So did anybody else have anything they wanted to mention?
I did. It's not on the agenda, but it was something that came up that I don't know if the school board is something to address, or at least administration. One other thing that's becoming popular with the kids, and it started last year, I believe, with South Range, is the senior walkthrough at elementary schools. I know it's happened in other schools. This district has not typically had it, but I think South Range started last year or the year before. And so now it's starting on chat, on social media, where people are interested in saying, like, how can we do this? Pinkerton doesn't facilitate it. We don't necessarily sanction it, so it's very loose right now. There's no direction, there's no instruction, there's no protocol per se. I know for myself, I talked to Mary Hill, and she had her own layout, like, oh, I'd like a student liaison, one person to come and see me, we'll try to find a date. It seems to be per school, but I just think it would be nice, like, if we know that this is something that's going to be popular or something that's going to be sought out now because it seems to be gaining popularity, that there's some sort of consensus or protocol of how it should be approached. And I know that it may be, I don't know if it's a discussion between to have with the high school committee, the Pinkerton committee, or if it's something here because it involves our elementary schools directly, but maybe something that somebody can say, like, okay, you need to pick one person, they need to go and meet with the principal, just to have some protocol in place, because it seems like right now nobody knows what to do, and they're all just trying to grasp at straws to make this happen, because a lot of parents and a lot of kids want to see this happen. So I just kind of wanted to throw it out there, and whoever needs to take the reins or follow up with it can.
Yeah, so we do have we have a leadership meeting tomorrow with our assistant principals, and then the 21st, I believe, we have a principals meeting where we can talk a little bit about some of the logistics of this and how it could work. I'd like to hear some feedback from administrators about all the devil in the details piece. But yeah, I'm glad you brought it up. So I just was adding it to the agenda for tomorrow morning's meeting.
Awesome. Looking forward to hearing about it.
I do have another. Beginning of May is Staff Appreciation Day, week, month, whatever. We've been celebrating our staff, and I mentioned wonderful teachers, I mentioned outstanding assistants, but this goes through to fantastic custodians and secretaries and everybody else that's involved with the Derry Cooperative School District. I have stressed it my entire time here that everybody is important to the organization, and it's good to say thank you. I believe we have an outstanding staff that cares deeply about what they do, cares for the children and the families, cares for their colleagues, and it's always a good thing to say thank you for what you do, and make sure that they are all aware that we appreciate them.
Yeah, I'd wanted to acknowledge that as well, and also a great deal of thanks to all of our outstanding, all of the teacher appreciation events they put on over the last week. I know from my personal experience, they did a fantastic job at West Running Brook. To all of our teachers, there's nothing that we can say that will quantify, how much we appreciate what you do. I know it's not an easy time in history to be a teacher. So, it's not much, but, we can tell you how much that, every family out there appreciates the work that you put in, the dedication. So thank you. If nothing else, I will accept a motion to adjourn. First by Jenna.
Second.
Second by Jen. All in favor? All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. All right, good night, everybody.